iconic landmark and business establishment in the heart of Bay Street, Mike's Shoe Store was considered the leading outlet of its kind, attracting customers from Abaco to Inagua. If you wanted to step in style or head back to school, it was certainly the place to go. Here what led to the success of the business and its impact on Bay Street, but nationwide as well. Today we are reflecting on the business and discussing the changing trends on Bay Street with the Klonaris brothers, Charles and Nick. Welcome to the show. It's so good to have both of you here with us.
Thank you for having us. Very nice to be here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. So who is going to take the first question? When and how did Mike's Shoe Store get started in the Bahamas?
It doesn't matter. I'll begin.
All right.
Yeah. It started back in 1930 when Dad, after the sponge industry sort of had a disease and sort of faded away, Dad got involved in repairing shoes. So from repairing shoes, he sort of eventually started to import shoes at a little bit at a time, and he eventually ended up opening a Mike's Shoe Store.
And it definitely became really, really popular. So what was the original vision behind the store, and how did it evolve over the years?
Originally, like my brother just said, he started off repairing. But my dad was very ambitious and very hardworking. And he had a vision of creating a beautiful, wonderful shoe store that would cover the entire Bahamas in terms of from the average Bahamian and eventually worked up to some very expensive shoes. But generally, as a starter, it was for the low and medium income customer base. Okay. And that was really the success. But let me add, too, that part of the success was his personality.
Yes. And
his kindness. And he, in those days, for example, he did some out-island business. And what would happen is when the boat would come in, whether it was the 52 miles from Eleuthera or the from Abaco or wherever, the mate would come in, and back in the out island, he would get sizes of the different customers.
You definitely had
they would come in
the business.
And we would fill in that order. No one paid. Everything was out of trust, and that's how it worked. So, and eventually the following trip, he would bring the funds. Okay. But that's how that was part of his business, and it was really, again, the importance of the kindness that really became a landmark, but also helped the shoe store.
Help him connect with his customers. So as children, both of you would have worked in the store and later become owners. So tell us more about the childhood days and your experience welcoming customers and family islanders.
Well, after I graduated from Queens College, I went and did a quick business course in Florida because my mind was Mike's Shoe Store. And I came back in 59, and then Charles followed, 65, I think. 65 he came in, type of thing. And sort of actually working on weekends with Dad sort of gave us the interest, and I knew where I wanted to go and everything else, so that's kind of, and selling shoes after school or whatever, on Saturdays when there was the only time we could go and help. And from there, I sort of got very, very interested.
Let me just add that it was the work ethic. He didn't give us a break. On the weekends, you had to work. Everybody worked at the store, you know, and Mother would prepare a lunch for my dad, but Saturdays, no. You had to be there at the store.
Be there and learn the business.
Yeah.
And so what would you say is some of the feedback you would have gotten? You mentioned a few minutes ago that some people still refer to you as Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
But what are some of the other feedback you get since you made such an impression?
Well, even today, it wasn't too long ago, somebody said, I still got shoes sitting in my closet 15 years or whatever, how long it is. it's been, you know, that type of...
So obviously quality
was very
products
important.
you
Yeah.
offered.
We did
and
have. We did have-
fantastic customer experience.
Yeah, and the price. I mean, tremendous. And like Charles was saying earlier, there's a book that we had that you would put their name down and whether they had, it was pound, shillings, and pence at the time.
Yes.
And then if they had 10 shillings to put on the shoe or whatever, and on the layaway plan, tremendous layaway plan. And they would come next 1 week and pay, and before you know it, they would take it home, and it was not a problem. And someone didn't have it, bring it back next week.
And you have it.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the role the store played in Bay Street or the downtown Nassau community?
As far as Charles,
Well, I would say
yeah.
the attraction and the amount of people it attracted to come downtown.
So it was definitely a hub for business and where people
Absolutely.
wanted to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so,
that's
you know,
interesting.
like you say, you know, the days for back to school was enormous. The mothers with the kids. And when I was to think about the old days, when parents, they would come in with their kids. No one came in on their own. And they would sit the kids down, and then we would ask them what size. So we'd fit them up. Do they fit? Yes. And all they would say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Nobody quivered. They didn't want the
No back
Jordans or the
talking.
tip, no back talk, whatever we
Just
fit
what
in
mommy
it.
or daddy buy in, and you can go with that.
Exactly. So
Okay,
it was
that's-
a pleasure to see that the manners that was there and the respect. Yeah, it was really enjoyable to see all of that. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine, like most businesses, Mike's also would have faced some challenges. Are you able to talk about that and how you overcame them at the time? Or were you one of those exemplary businesses where you kind of just flowed with your customers so there weren't really many challenges?
No, I don't think we had any really sort of challenges at all, that type of thing. We, of course, because of how we built it up and knowing the customer base, I mean, it was...
You sound like it was easy.
yeah, we didn't see any hardships at all.
The only thing that really was purchasing property at that time on Bay Street, and that was expensive.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you had to do bank loans and what have you. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, you know, you really had to be on your toes and make sure things were working well.
Well, you left Bay Street in 2006, so how did the store transition in terms of a new location?
Well, we actually had branches with the main store downtown.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you still had a presence there.
Oh, absolutely. We did. Wolf Road was our first store. Then we went to Robinson Road. Then we went to Nassau Street, Prince Charles, and then we had the main one downtown, and the Marathon Mall. So we had, was it seven branches? And all of the time, so it was quite a few years after when Charles and I went. It might have been the 80s, was it the 80s, the 90s, the branches and everything sort of took off.
Yeah.
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 So what would you say you are most proud of in terms of the journey of the stores and its growth?
What I'm most proud of?
Yeah.
The impression we made in the Bahamas. Very much impression. And like you said, to walk around and know that...
The recognition.
That great recognition.
Yeah. I will tell you a couple of stories. Even the Bishop Moss of the...
Baptist Church,
the one...
Church of God on East Street?
On East Street.
Yeah.
The huge... he would invite me and my dad when they had their convention there.
And, we would
And
go.
I recall going there and just walking up to the podium there. There was pandemonium. Everyone recognizes. And it was such a beautiful feeling. And even the Baptist Church on East Street, East and Bay Street, again, I think it was Bishop or Reverend Smith, if I'm not mistaken. They would come in, and there was huge recognition in terms of, we were well in terms of culture, a part of that whole Bahamian experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's it like for both of you these days? Do you still have an interest in Bay Street, or what's going on with you?
I don't know. Now, Bay Street's not the same. It is not really the same now. Because earlier, like we said, from East Street to Victoria Avenue, that was the hub of Bay Street.
It was bustling.
That was the, and now it's sort of changed completely. It's not the same and anything else. I kind of miss it, and it's a shame. I go downtown. We go downtown still every so often, but it's not the same.
Not as you remembered it.
Yeah.
We lived in West Street, downtown, and I would say between Nassau Street to some degree, but mainly up the hill of Meeting Street, Delancey Street, then West Street, right up to, I would say, Cumberland Street. Oh, no, I would say up to East Hill Street with the post office there. That was like an oasis downtown. It was really enjoyable living there. The homes, people lived there. It was really a wonderful experience.
So hopefully we move beyond that, but it was definitely an inspiring journey to hear you both reminisce about your dad and the impact of Mike's on Bay, but certainly all the best to both of you in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Nice having it.
Definitely nice having you here with us. You're watching What's Trending, another successful Bahamian footprint coming up.